Hi everyone, Aiden here with etrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Saris MHS DUO, and we're going to see how it fits on the back of our 2023 Rivian R1T. If you're looking for a way to carry e-bikes on your R1T, and very heavy e-bikes at that, the MHS DUO is a great way to go because you can handle up to 80 pounds per bike and carry up to 2 bikes. Plus, it's going to be very accommodating to a wide range of bike types, because it's a dual wheel mount. So we only have these 2 wheel hoops and a strap on the back tire, meaning no frame contact around the bike, making this a good option for alternative frame and carbon frame bikes, while still being fairly good for bikes with fenders because these hoops don't go very far up. So depending on the size of those fenders, you might find that works just fine for you. This is a pretty large and heavy rack, and if you've got it fully loaded, that will be a fair amount of weight to tilt away. But the handle at the back end here that you use to release the bike rack puts you in a pretty good position where when that weight does come down, it's not going to be crashing down on top of you and your arms aren't tucked away in the back of the bike rack there. And while this doesn't give us enough room to lower our tailgate on the R1T, it is plenty of room to step in here with the bike loaded and grab something out of the back if we needed to. But for me, the tailgate clearance isn't that big of an issue because we've got the gear tunnel. So for me, I keep my bike helmet, change of shoes in the bed of my truck. For the R1T, you can just keep it in the gear tunnel. And you've got a nice place to sit and change your shoes before or after your ride, so you don't really need to let the tailgate down. Let's get the bike unloaded though. We'll start by going down to our rear tire, where there's a strap holding it down. Just press the release tab and pull that strap out and tuck it away. And right up from that, there's going to be this silver lever that we can squeeze and disengage the arm. This does sometimes have a tendency to get stuck on the tread of your tire, but once you get that unstuck, you can walk over and just repeat the same thing on the other side, making sure to keep one hand on the bike at all times since nothing's really holding it upright anymore. From there though, you can just lift it up and away from the rack. But then we can just fold those arms back down, and you hear that ratcheting mechanism that engages. That's what keeps it held onto your tire. From here though, we can get a few measurements. I'm going to start off with our ground clearance, which is the lowest point at the back end here, sitting right at 20 inches. That's going to be plenty of room where I don't think you'll really have to worry about bottoming out at all. It's just something to be mindful of when you are lifting those heavy e-bikes up, that it will be a taller lift. The other thing we can check out is our clearance from the bumper. And we are adding 33 inches from that furthest point out. It's a fair amount of length that we're adding. A lot of the racks we've tested today have been pretty compact to the back of the bumper, so this one will stick out a fair bit further, and it's something to watch out for when you are driving around and pulling into parking spots. If you want to leave it in the hitch between rides though, you can fold it up against the vehicle for easier storage. Now for this, there's 2 positions. One where it's at a slight angle, not making contact with the bumper, and one that's straight up and down. This sits really close, and I will say that right in the center, one of our wheel hoops does barely touch the plastic of our bumper here. So for me personally, I wouldn't run with it like that just because it's a nice truck. You want to keep it nice. This is still saving you a ton of space in the folded position. So we can get a measurement from the bumper, and in that same spot, we're only sitting 16 inches back to the furthest out point. That's going to be a lot of space saved. So when you are driving around, it's going to be a lot less of an obstruction and just be easier to park with. With this all folded up though, I'd say it sits pretty well on the Rivian. The rack sits just below our light bar here, but it does block it a little bit. And that's a good time to point out that we have these light kits on here right now. These aren't included with the bike rack, but you can pick them up separately here at etrailer if you want. And if you use your factory 7-way, just pick up a 7 to 4-way converter. You can plug right into that and get taillight functions on your bike rack. So it's a lot easier for drivers behind you to know your intentions when you're switching lanes or hitting your brakes, or just when you're driving at night for extra visibility. Again, it doesn't fully block the light bar, but I think this would be a good complement. Down at the hitch, it's fitting inside of our 2" by 2" receiver tube and comes with a locking anti-rattle bolt. That anti-rattle keeps things nice and solid in the hitch, and the key will keep it secured. And that key is key-to-like to a cable lock integrated at the top of each tray, so you only have to keep the one with you. So when it comes to carrying heavy e-bikes on your R1T, I think the MHS Duo is a really solid option. My only complaints with it is that it's a really large and heavy bike rack, so getting it in and out of the hitch might be just really difficult for some. And you might not want to store a bike rack this big in your garage when it's not in use. If that's the case, I'd recommend the Yakima On-Ramp LX. It's going to support the same weight capacity of 80 pounds per bike, but it's way more compact, still fits well on the back of our Rivian here, and even includes a ramp, so it's going to be a little easier to load and unload these heavy e-bikes. But if that's not really a concern for you, then I do think that the MHS is going to be a little bit easier to use and definitely easier to tilt away and fold up when you are operating it. So there's some trade-offs for both. But this today was just our look at the Saris MHS Duo on the back of our 2023 Rivian R1T. My name's Aiden, and thanks for watching.